Hey, welcome to How It's Wired, a new video series in which I'm going to be taking shader effects from popular games and showing how they were made. So for the first episode, I'm going to be doing this recessed light shader that you might have seen in Portal 2, specifically like this one, but appears in many other games like The Last of Us. You actually only need a few things to achieve this effect, which is actually just a light silhouette, so a texture with the shape of your light, and a normal map to fake the refraction. So pretty much all this effect is some fake depth and some fake refraction. So without further ado, let's get started by right-clicking on our content window here and creating a new material. I'm going to call it Master Material Portal 2 Light. Open that up, and before we get into the actual shader, like the meat and potatoes of this, we're going to do some basic light control. So I'm just going to bring in my light texture here, and then I'm going to hold M to create a multiply node, hold M and click, and then create a 3 vector, so hold 3 and click, and connect that to B, and then connect the multiply node to emissive color. And then what this 3 vector node allows us to do is to control the color of the light. So we can make it blue, pink, any color you can imagine. So I'm just going to make it a light blue. And for further control, in material instances, if you make multiple versions of this shader, we're going to convert it to a parameter so we can change the color on the fly. So let's just call it color. We're also going to change the texture sample to a parameter, so we can change the actual texture we're using. I'm just going to call that light texture. From here, we can actually move on to the faked refraction and depth. To start, I'm going to do the depth. So to do the depth effect, it's actually pretty simple. You're just going to want to create a bump offset node here, plug that into the UVs. And basically what this will do is this will just edit the UVs to give the illusion that it's actually pushed back, that it's behind like in this case, a plane of glass, whereas really it's just a flat plane. There's no 3D geometry. We're going to want to create a 1 float to control the height, and I'm going to set this to a base value of negative 1.5. But, so we have control over it later, convert it to a parameter, and call it depth. Now, onto the normals. I'm just going to bring in my normal map, set up a texture coordinate node, control how much this is tiling. I'm just going to set it to 2, since this is pretty low frequency by default, this specific normal at least. And then I'm going to create an append node. And what this append node is going to do is it's just going to extract just the red and green channels, since we don't need a blue channel, since we're just dealing with U and Vs. So red will act as our U distortion, and green will act as our V distortion. So then once the R and G have been extracted from the normals, we're going to create a multiply node and plug the RG into the A. We're then also going to create a float. I'm going to make it 0.2. And what this float is doing is it's basically you can either crank the effect to be more intense or crank it way down. I'm cranking it way down because I find the effect way too powerful at a full 1 value. So I'm doing 0.02, but we'll also convert it to a parameter so we can control this later. We're going to call this refract intensity. Now from here, all we have to do is create an add node by holding A and clicking, and add all this back into the texture coordinates. And we're just going to drag that up here and plug that into the coordinates of the bump offset. And now, for the most part, this effect is complete. But there is one more thing we're going to do. We're going to plug in the normals into our actual normals. And then we're going to hit save. I'm just going to drag this over here so we can see what the effect looks like. So we're going to drag it on my second plane here. And it almost looks identical to the effect I had set up here. However, you're going to notice one key difference. Looks like our texture's almost tiling, or it's bleeding out over here. To solve that, all we're going to need to do is come over here and click on our light texture node and scroll all the way to the bottom, and from here you'll see a section where it's called sampler source. This will probably be set to from texture asset the default. We're going to want to change it to shared clamp. Set it to that and hit save, and you'll notice that that weird bleeding is gone. Now what we can do from here is we can create a material instance from our master material, drag that on, and open it up. And from here, well, actually I just realized I never converted the normals to a parameter. You're going to want to convert the normals to a parameter as well, because then you can change the actual normal texture and change the refraction effect. So you could change this to like a hexagonal grid, or like a bumpy normal if you wanted kind of like a blurred effect. I'm just going to recreate that material instance real quick. So we can see that normal parameter as well. That's really strange. Oh, I don't think I ever saved. I did not. My bad. But as you can see, what we're going to be able to do from here now is we can change all the different effects we set up, all the different parameters. So if we want this light to suddenly be orange in this level, well, now it's orange. Or pink. Or whatever color you want. We can swap out the normals, we can swap out the light, change the intensity of the refraction effect, or make it less, make it more, whatever you want. Can change the depth to make it look closer or further away. And that's pretty much the effect. But as I mentioned, this is specifically mimicking the Portal 2 lights, but this can be used for many things. Obviously, other light types, like office lights. But I've also seen in the, I think it was the Callisto Protocol's eye shader, they use a similar effect for some part of the eye. I'm not sure. But get creative, and there's a few different things you can do with this. But a very solid use case is lights. That's pretty much the tutorial. I hope it was informative. If there's any criticism or like things you'd like to see from future installments of this video series, like where I do things a little differently, I'd love to do that. If you have any ideas for, oh hey, this shader effect in God of War or something, how would you do that? Recommend it to me, and I'd love to take a look. I have a few more in mind that I'd like to tackle in future episodes of the series. But other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, which will probably be another How It's Wired video. Have a great day.